Right, this is Linton the Swarm Vassal, Bellator light heavyweight contender, and you're watching the MMA Crypt Fighting Talk Show.
Hello, Crypters, fight fans, it's Gregory Stone. You're watching my Crypt Fight Talk Show. Now, I know for a fact, because I'm on the forum, I'm on the underground, I know for a fact you guys, 1 week removed from Bellator 158, you're still buzzing, you're still talking about the highlight reel knockout of Evangelista Cyborg Santos. I'm not sure whether that was because of the gruesome injury, which was a sort of a cracked skull, caved in skull, whatever you want to call it, or it was the way the knockout occurred in spectacular fashion with the jumping knee. But you guys are still raving about it, so I figured why not for this week's show, bring on the man himself, the MVP of Bellator, Michael the Venom Page. So with that, I'd like to welcome him to the Quick Fight Talk Show, Michael the Venom Page. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, man? You alright?
I'm doing good. It's nice to finally have you on. I've been admiring your work for a long time, so it's great to have you on the show finally as well.
Thank
And
you
what a
very
way to
much,
do it
man.
after that knockout too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before I start the recording, I mentioned what I wanted to talk about on today's show. I do want to break down your style because I do want to learn on this show, and I do want the viewers, the fans to learn too. Pretty much, I think most fans, if you say MVP, what do you make of him, they'll say, that was some ninja shit, you know? That's the way they sum you up. I don't know what I saw, but I know it was fucking cool. So, it was ninja shit, and that's all I know. So I really want to educate the guys. Now, there's two centerpieces to your art, your craft, which really ties into the rest of your game. Like the rest of your game can't work without it. And that is your side-on stance, your side stance, and it's your two-step range, your range, the way you manage it. Now, I want to talk about your side-on stance first and foremost. Also, your snake charmer as well, because that comes into it. But your side-on stance, I want to break down the pros and cons. Now, I was pretty much watching you today and listing the pros, the cons. I can only find one con, and I can find 5 pros. Now, the 5 pros were, the first one was, it cuts off your opponents, which is a pro, obviously. It cuts them off a lot quicker than a more square stance does. Allows you to close the distance much quicker as well for darting attacks, etc. That's in note. Evading incoming attacks, keeping it at a 2-step range. It opens up, obviously, the spin attacks, the hook kick, the axe kick, the tornado kicks, etc. All that sort of fun stuff. It also allows you a lot more variety in your movement, too, in your attacks. But in terms of more angled steps, side steps, etc. But the one con, I'll list the one con here, and that's what I want to talk about, is I believe your backhand becomes somewhat limited. Now, I've noticed that you use it quite effectively with the wind-up uppercut, etc., when you lean in. That's at 1-step range. But to me, it does seem like it takes some of the power away. Obviously, the straight right, when you're darting or you counter-attack your opponent, coming in with the straight right, that does seem powerful and effective. You have knocked out opponents with that. But does your side-on stance, your side stance, does that sort of take away from your backhand a little bit? It does open up so much in regards to the kicks and the movement, etc. But does it take away from your backhand? I want to hear from you first and foremost on that. Instead of us all debating on forums, etc., what it does, I'd like to hear it from the man himself.
Yeah, no, 100% is in terms of, like, you know, the way the boxers or the Thai boxers would throw with their backhand with a lot more base on the floor. It's nowhere near. Well, I say nowhere near. It's not as powerful. That's why it's done in a different fashion.
Yeah.
You can still generate power, but we do it with throwing our body forward as well as throwing the right hand. Whereas, you know, the Thai boxers can do it static. The boxers can do it static. It's just a different way of landing the right hand. But saying that, it only takes one small movement of my back leg to then put myself in the position of all the boxers and all the Thai boxers. So I'm able to use it if necessary. You know, if I close someone down and we're a bit more close range, what I have to do is adjust my back legs ever so slightly, and then straight away I'm now back in that form where I can generate the same kind of power.
What would cause you to do that? Would it be more like another point striker? Say you was facing someone like Uri Hall, etc. Would you square up your stance a little bit more to maybe go for that double leg? Because we know with the side-on stance that, especially if it's an orthodox versus Sophie, that leg's out there to attack. You can go straight for the single, but it can be avoided by circling and turning and hammer fisting to get away. So it's a lot easier to get away from the single. So would you ever adjust your stance a little bit just to maybe get that double leg takedown, etc., to really drive through?
Not at all. Weirdly enough, I've actually been drilling takedowns from my stance, so we have to do it slightly differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been drilling again. If you have to keep adjusting your stance too much, then you know what I mean, it becomes a bit obvious as to what you're going to do. You know what I mean? If you can see me square up a little bit, it's like, okay, look, he's looking for a takedown and always looking for this. It becomes too obvious, you know. I start telegraphing stuff. So what we're trying to do, or you know, my team's been doing, is anything that I need to get, whether it be a takedown, single leg, double leg, whatever it is, I do it from the stance that I'm in.
Well, we know that you've done a lot of points fighting. It looks like what would you regard your style as? Where did it come from? It looks taekwondo. It looks more point style kickboxing. We know that you've done a lot of semi-contact kickboxing, point scoring
Yeah.
kickboxing. Where does it really originate from? And have you mixed a blend of styles in together to sort of like come up with your own sort of style?
No, it's weird enough that it is point style kickboxing. The points, you know, it comes from the sport karate background, which is more like we call freestyle kickboxing.
Okay.
But yeah, it's one style, believe it or not, and it's just a style that's not many people. Firstly, not many people take serious because of the point style. Kind of, it's almost a game to most people, and people don't find it interesting to watch because they don't really know what they're looking at. But what you gain from it is the speed, the accuracy, the distance, the controlling distance, and the movement most importantly. And you know, I could take you down to a freestyle kickboxing competition now, and you'd see, you know, kids from age 5 with the exact same movement, hands down style. The only thing that I've added is a bit of my own personal flair. I used to do breakdancing and stuff. I enjoy body movement in general, so I've kind of added all that kind of stuff, and it just makes it even harder to read.
I've highlighted the darting attacks too because that's something that that's really what puts your opponents on the ropes and finishes most of your opponents in terms of attacking. Obviously, you finish Cyborg with a counter attack and a defensive move, but most of your finishes are by offensive attacks. Now, your darting attacks, does that come from a point style kickboxing because where you've got the headgear on, etc., and you can be hit in the face and well, obviously you can be knocked out in point style kickboxing.
Yeah.
You've done it yourself. I'm watching footage today.
Yeah.
But is that where it originates from there, that you can take more chances in point-style kickboxing, so you can dart in, and that's where you perfected it over time? And really, people in MMA right now, they can't really compete with that covering of distance so quickly.
Exactly, you're exactly correct because that style where, you know, once I've landed the shot, the referee, you know, stops what's going on. You're allowed to take that bit more of a risk, and obviously because it is point scoring, it becomes it almost like, again, it is kind of like a game of tag. So you don't want to stand directly in front of of the person you're fighting. If that's the case, you have to fight from further away, which means we have to be able to cover distances as quickly as possible, and that is the most effective way. We call it the blitz. That is one of the most common moves that you're going to see in freestyle kickboxing. And you just, you're firing, you're throwing your whole body across towards your opponent just to get there as quick as possible.
Well, you talked about not standing there, but you do stand there, and that's mainly after you finish your opponents. Now, every fan loves a walk-off knockout. They love it. They absolutely go crazy for it. Now, you do a posing knockout. You actually just stand there, stand still. Now, what I want to know when I look at it, I'm thinking, well, are you sure your opponent's done? Get on him quick, MVP. But you just stand there. It's like you know instantly. Just how do you know that they're finished? It boggles my mind when I watch it. It really does.
You know what? It's just years and years of landing. You know, again, it's just that accuracy in shots. I've hit people. I've put people down before. Again, as you say, in points as well, and been hit many times as well, even in training and stuff. I know when an effective shot has come up, and for me personally, I actually see it as an advantage not to jump on my opponent, and the reason I say that is because for me, when I've landed that clean shot and they go down, for a split second, the referee is looking to stop that. Now, if I jump on them and then they grab me, sometimes they regain, kind of regain that consciousness while I'm trying to finish them. And then I almost continue to fight myself unintentionally. Obviously, I'm going in for the kill. And I've seen fights before where, a guy's seen the opportunity, jumped on their opponent, tried to land the ground and pound. The guy on the bottom has recovered, and the person on top is now tired from trying to finish that fight, and then the fight gets changed around again. Like, I'd prefer you stand up busy and me finish you off in even more spectacular fashion. So even if you are going to get up, there's no negatives for me. I'm just going to look to put you down again. But and obviously it's way more stylish to to finish that way.
Well, let's talk about defensively, because I mentioned all your offensive attacks there. But defensively, I was watching some of your older UCMA bouts, and you sort of backstepped, angle backstepped, and sort of got out of the way. Obviously, you mentioned there that you don't want to be in the way. That's what you learned through point fighting. But in the Cyborg fight, you used more of an attack defense. It was sort of like with the flying knee was there, the spinning back fist to get him off you. No movement would have got you away from him when he was chasing you. So you sort of used more offensive, aggressive style tactics when he came in as a defense. We call it counter-striking, but that's the way I want to call it, more defensive, attack defense minded. Why did that come about? What did you sense in the Cyborg fight to where you figured that more of an attack defense would be the best option instead of maybe backstep, angle backstep? You did do that a little bit in the fight, but mainly you chose to attack when he came in.
Well, a lot for me. I use presence a lot. That it's weird how confidence can sell to people. And what I mean is, if I look aggressive enough, it backs you up into a corner now. Whether I'm throwing punches or kicks or not, it really backs you up. But then, similar to cornering a cat, I know eventually they're gonna be so worried about my attack that they're gonna explode forward and try and get one off before anything happens. That sitting in a corner waiting for something bad to happen can be draining. So you kind of just go yourself. And we know this about Cyborg. Watching his other fights, if he's a tough man. If he's ever put in a bad spot, he's gonna come out of his shell and try and go nuts. Like a wounded tiger. So we put that pressure on him, knowing that trying to create that what we call a car crash effect, which is when you explode forward. That's when, as you say, that aggressive counter attack comes in. And obviously, I had planned this for ages, and actually spoke to someone before, and when they asked me, how do you think I'm going to finish, I said with a jumping knee. And the reason is because I've been drilling this specifically for him. The second I heard it, he was my opponent. My coaches was like, this is the way I know these are some of the techniques that I know you can land on him. And obviously it worked.
You mentioned that you wanted to put the pressure on him, attack him, make him like a cat in the corner. Now, when I was watching the fight, Cyborg looked like a sitting duck to me. It's because of his length for starters. It's because of your range management, and it's because of his high tie style, his high tie stance style. It was like nice and tight, high, like they always usually go. Obviously, you even had to work to get the body shot in there. He was testing his guard, kicking up high to the head, to the neck area, just testing his guard so he'll lift it up and he can kick to the body. That's the way it looked to me like you finished him with set him up with the body kick, delivered kick. But he kept it nice and tight and high, and with that, you was very loose. You was able to manage the range, be a lot quicker than him just because you were so much looser. Did you sort of feel like he was a sitting duck, and to have any chance in the fight, he would have had to loosen up during the fight just to get any offense off on you?
Yeah, 100%. Like from the beginning, and to be fair, I think what actually put him back a little bit is my first shot. The first couple shots that I landed. Again, people are kind of so surprised at the range I'm able to cover with the power behind it. And the second I landed that shot, it literally just put him. He was backstepping most of the fight after that. If not the whole fight. So anytime he was on our feet, that was it. He was back. He just kept backstepping, which again, I knew I was able to do, and I'm able to put a lot of people in their corner. But I didn't expect it for so long. I was expecting him to have a few more attacks, but that pressure and that first shot, and that, like, as I said, the blitz, the very long range shot, it does confuse people. Because it messes up your own personal range, because you're so used to people hitting from a specific distance. When you get hit from someone so far away from you, and they're a bit longer than you as well, it's very hard to then try and regain your distance back.
Well, let's talk about the range, because you mentioned the blitz there. This is where it does come from. It's basically what we call mid-range is toe-to-toe. It's where both opponents' toes are parallel or touching each other. Not parallel because that's in the pocket. When both mid-range is where both opponents' toes are touching each other. You are literally 2 steps back from that. That's your comfort zone. That's your safe zone. You know fully that you're not going to get hit from there. Most opponents have tried. I think you've probably got about 5% hit rate on you in regards to opponents actually catching you from that range. Watching your footage anyway, that's not exactly a definite number there, but watching you today, that's probably an accurate one. But I want to talk about the range there because I noticed that you sort of bounce your feet, you're on the balls of your feet, bouncing out. Now you bounce into one step range, then back to two step, then back into one, then back into two. You do the blitz from two step range, but also you attack from one step range. You're bouncing. Now, from what I could tell, it seems like you're bouncing. If you see something you like and you want to take, you take it. If you don't, you bounce back out and look for another opportunity. Is that something you do, or do you just bounce in and out to one step, two step range just to throw your opponents off, just to keep them guessing? Or do you look for something? Do you look for openings when you're bouncing there? Do you look for them to back off maybe, to let something drop, to turn, whatever it may be? Do you look for something when you're sort of bouncing into that one step range?
I think it's literally both of them are accurate. Sometimes I'm in and out of the range more to do with the rhythm of the fight. A lot of people have a set pattern in the way they bounce and the way they move, and they constantly bounce in between that. By me bouncing in and out, or sometimes staying in and sometimes two stepping out, again, for my opponent to find their ranges is hell, because they have no real rhythm to go on. As much as sometimes people don't even see that they fight on a rhythm, but they do. And again, we kind of all fight in patterns and shapes. And because I'm doing so much craziness with my hands, with my feet, it totally throws any kind of gauge you might have to see the distance and where you can attack. And on top of that, it allows me to see every time I twitch or fake what you're looking to counter me with, and two, where the openings are. You know what I mean? If I'm twitching and you double guard, I know exactly where I'm going to place my hand. Or if you're not really believing in what my any of my fakes, so I start landing a couple of jabs, I land a couple of high kicks, and it positions, as I said, it positions your hands in the place I want it. Then I might go for the body, or I might hit a body shot and I might go for my blitz. It's just playing that game, like just slowly, just figuring out the puzzle that's in front of you, as well as being very difficult to be figured out by by your opponent.
Let's talk about the snake charmer, because you use it at the weigh-ins, you use it during the stare downs, as the ref brings you in the centre cage, etc. Sort of like a pose in a way, but also using it to fight. Now, if you watch Gegard Mousasi, he uses it perfectly. Sort of like mystifies his opponents, distracts them with that snake charmer hand out there. Then he lands probably about 90% of his jabs off it. His hook jabs, constant land them just off that snake charmer. He leans forward. But with you, it's sort of different. It's more like a wriggly worm. It goes through both arms and through your knees. It's sort of like a full body motion rather than just your lead hand motion. Could you explain how that benefits your game and what it does to your opponents and what it does for you?
Again, that's two things. One is it's my character. Like I said, I've added different body movements to further make it difficult for people to read. And I always say, even down to something as simple as dropping my hands to the side of my waist. Now, so many people, we drill shots, drill punches, drill kicks over and over again, and the person you're drilling with always tends to drill it from the same place. Yeah, so when someone throws a jab, they're throwing it from having their hands up, they take that step forward and they put their jab in. It almost looks identical across the board in most people. Now, the second I put my hand down, it changes what you're used to responding to. Now, that's before I add in any kind of waves, any kind of body movement, and even my bounce. If I just put my hand down and throw a jab from my hip, people register it a lot slower than they would a normal jab, because they've never trained it, they've never drilled it that way. So this is why, again, I just add extra, make it extra awkward for you when I start adding the waves in and this and that and adding different angles. And again, you can't read my body. My body's doing so many different things. It's what do you look at? And the second I see you look away or get distracted by anything, then again, that's when the jab comes in, or that's when the kick comes in. And again, these are very, very difficult things to figure out.
One last thing in terms of style and the actual in the fight with Cyborg. I watched an interview with Wall TV after your fight. He talked about that you was in trouble on the ground, and I sort of didn't like that question, because when I was watching the fight, you wasn't in trouble on the ground. And it seems to me, with a lot of great strikers in this sport, instantly everyone questions the ground game. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Anderson Silva, yourself. Yeah. They seem to think that you just, because you're so good in the stand-up, that you don't even train anywhere else. Now, you've had impressive submissions off your back. During the fight, you were shrimping, you had your hand on his head, pushing off, you got the overhook on the, the right arm, I believe, posted with your left, you got back up to your feet, took no damage whatsoever. So I was wondering, I thought it was pretty sturdy off your back. Right, I felt like you lost the round because you spent time on your back, but you didn't eat any damage. So I don't understand why people assume that you've got no ground game. What do you make of that? Obviously, I think you can understand it, but what do you make of it?
It's weird for me. Why I say it's weird for me is because, especially when I hear comments like that from other MMA fighters, because I know or I believe that when they're in training, they're not just training their favorite aspect. They're building on everything. So it's weird that they believe that I wouldn't be, and the reason I seriously, I enjoy jiu-jitsu, I enjoy wrestling, I enjoy all the grappling side. But the reason, one of the main reasons that I'm learning how to do all of that is so I don't have to do it in the cage. So it's just weird that people believe that I wouldn't be able to do that kind of stuff. And literally, just to tell everyone, my after my first fight, my coach pulled me out. I'm talking directly after the cage, before he even congratulated me. He was like, "Look, everyone after that kick is going to put you on a high level of MMA, and you're not there. Your jiu-jitsu is not good enough. Your wrestling is not good enough. But you're going to be spending the rest of your time in training on your back." And I kid you not, every single day I go into training, I'm rolling, I'm on my back, I'm getting ground and pound from my back. I got to work my way up. These are these are positions that I know people are going to want to put me in. So I feel extremely comfortable off my back. And as you see, when I got up, he was more tired than me. And on top of that, I actually went for a submission in that fight, and he never. So I feel confident. There's 100%. I need to improve in all areas. There's certain parts of my stand-up I still need to work on. And I feel if anybody doesn't see that, then that's the kind of mind that I am. Regardless of how well I'm doing, I still need to be getting better and improving. And jiu-jitsu and wrestling, I want to have a even more dangerous game. It's just going to make me an overall dangerous person. And that's exactly what I do. The second I get back from this short break after the fight, then that's what I'm working on. I'm working back on the ground. I'm back wrestling. I'm back improving what I need to improve on.
Now, I did hear that you felt like at the weigh-ins when you was doing the stare-off that you felt Cyborg crack. And I do believe to a certain extent, just like Anderson Silva, you put a certain extent of fear into your opponents. Now, obviously, they believe the ground game's the key here. And your coach mentioned that everyone's going to be looking to take you down and sort you out that way. Now, do you believe that you have to make, sort of like the Cyborg fight, it was a statement, you cracked his skull. I do believe that's going to put a bit of intimidation into a few opponents. Do you believe that you have to make a statement off your back to sort of negate all that doubt from your potential opponents and put that potential fear into them?
No, weirdly enough, it's I think once people have like tagged you as something specific, regardless of what else you do, you're always going to be classed as a person that is good at stand up but can't do anything else. The fight before this fight, I caught a submission that I don't believe anybody I've ever seen has even caught before. And again, the next fight, I'm still the person that is the person that needs to be taken down to the floor. You know what I mean? I think once you're pegged as whatever style, then that's always what you're going to be at. And I reckon I could submit some of the best out there on the floor, and I would still be classed as a stand-up fighter that needs to is weaknesses on the floor. And it doesn't bother me whatever anybody else thinks, as long as I keep going in there and doing my job. Which I'm doing so far, that's all I need to keep worrying. That's all I need to keep worrying about. And I always say the same thing. From fight to fight, all I'm trying to do is improve on myself. I don't care the name of the opponent or the level of the opponent. I just need to improve on my last fight. And I feel like it's going well.
Does your frame help you with that in terms of your legs? Because obviously, and your arms too, because defensively on the ground, you can get wrist control. You can really stop attacks with wrist control, and especially your long arms, because you sort of like push your arms out in and everywhere, which allows for movement. It allows you to rock them to one side to look for sweeps. Obviously, with your long legs as well, you can scissor the legs, lock them down, look for sweeps. In terms of offense as well, the submissions off your backs, the transitions with your athleticism. Do you believe that your frame and your athleticism sort of like give you an extra advantage on the ground and will make you progress a lot quicker as well?
Weirdly enough, not at all. Actually, I don't agree with that. And the only reason I say that is because I've been working with guys in the gym of all shapes and sizes, and everyone seems to kind of find their own comfortable style. Like we've got a guy in the gym who is amazing at leg locks, and weird enough, he hasn't even been doing it for as long as some of the pros, but he gives people problems simply because of his style. Then you've got guys in the gym that have a crazy front headlock. So people, everyone just kind of finds something that really suits them. And this is one thing I like about jiu-jitsu. It's they're just in combat in general. Everyone kind of finds their own personality. And jiu-jitsu is one of those things where it doesn't matter if you're small, short arms, long legs, long arms. You always find a style that suits your body type. And it's all down on your coach, really, because sometimes people try and train everybody the same way, and as good as it is to know more moves, you still have to find the moves that suit you. And I think my coach is amazing at doing that. Yeah, so he will, as you say, see my long legs and see my frame and give me a style that suits my body type. Yeah, and then he'll see somebody else and give them a style, but I don't think it gives me any extra advantage. It's just working with the tools that I have.
Well, let's get to the question that I think everyone, all the fans out there want answered. Cyborg's cracked skull. When did you know that he had a cracked skull and such a serious injury?
I didn't know until I think it was the next day, or the next day, because I got the picture sent to me. Because obviously after the fight, I did my celebration. When I looked around, he wasn't in the cage anymore. So I actually didn't even see him leave. So to be fair, I thought it would either be a broken nose, because obviously he turned away from me face down. So I thought it was a broken nose or maybe even a jaw. But by the way he was kind of holding his head in his hands, I've seen that before. Usually usually a broken nose. So I thought it would be like a broken nose. Very easy to kind of like sort out. It's only when I saw the picture and like instantly the next day, because I think one of the posts that my brother read, actually, it said life-threatening injury, and I seriously, I died inside, man. I was worried for ages. I was trying to get in contact with the Bellator group to find out what's going on. And yeah, as much as we're all warriors, we're all fighters. It's not something you want to do to anybody. I'm only going in there for the win. Only going in there to, like I said, improve on myself. But I'd never want to see any, long-term injuries or anything on anybody. You know what I mean? I don't care. Even if I might not even get on with the person that I'm fighting, but I'd never want to see that to happen to anybody. So, they were raising money, trying to do my bit to raise money afterwards and stuff to help out. But yeah, I didn't actually find out until after the fight.
Were you surprised at the injury? Because we know the knee is the strongest part of your body, along with your forehead. So it's not like the strongest part of your body meeting the strongest part of your body. So I was still shocked that you actually cracked his forehead, to be honest with you. Were you sort of surprised at the injury?
100%. In all honesty, I've never seen an injury like that myself. I know some people were coming up with statistics and saying that it's happened a couple of times before, but in my history of like martial arts and everything, I know I'm not really in a full contact art, but even down to videos that I've never seen an injury like that. And yeah, I was ridiculously shocked. One, because I usually, any kind of knocks and bruise, I know at the time you probably won't feel it because of adrenaline, but the next day and the day after, and again up until today, I had no swelling in my knee, no bruising, no nothing. So I didn't understand how I was able to cause that damage and not actually damage myself, in the process. Yeah, so it was weird to see that I was able to do that. You know what I mean?
How was your knee? Because you look at it, the impact on his face and his head. How was your knee? Was there like even a bruise on your knee?
That's what I mean. There was absolutely nothing. There was no bruise, and no nothing. Like again, usually I get even that down to leg kicks and stuff. He caught me with one inside leg kick during the fight, and that was bruised. And again, I'm used to that happening in a fight. You don't feel it during the fight, but after the fight, you're feeling all these kicks and punches that that had landed. But seriously, I was so everyone kept asking me the same question, like, well, how's your knee? How's your knee? And I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, there's not not even a slight swelling, not even a slight bruise. I'm pushing my knee around to feel around. There was no, it didn't split the skin. I'm sure some of you guys would have seen the fight before with Jason Radcliffe, and he kneed his opponent Jack Mason
Yeah.
and won the fight, and he had split his knee in the process. You know what I mean? And even down to that, a lot of times an impact like that, it should have at least pierced my skin. But I was so surprised that I had nothing, and then even more surprised at the damage that was caused on the other end.
Well, that is a mystery for Fight Science. We see it on UFC Fight Pass. That's a mystery for them to solve, I believe. Now, Cyborg did come out and he released a statement on you. I do believe he wasn't happy. He called you a clown. I think that's in regards to the Pokemon Catch Yourself Cyborg. Obviously, it's all in good fun. But what's your response to that? What did you make to that? Do you even have a response?
No, well, yeah, it was annoying to hear afterwards because and obviously I'm kind of used to getting it from different people and stuff, but you know, if you look around the MMA industry, look around sport industry in general, when people you know, celebrate a victory, anything happens. When I mean anything happens, loads of crazy stuff comes out just through impulse. You know, you're just massively, a rush of excitement comes to you. People are jumping around, like jumping over the cage, back flipping off the cage. And any one of those things could be classed as disrespectful or clowning or whatever. You know, Tito Ortiz is the main character, as main culprit, shall I bring in? That I'll bring in is when he's burying opponents after, you know, after he's beaten them, and again could be classed as very disrespectful. I'm just a person that in that moment, because I'm such a calm person, in that moment I don't have a rush of adrenaline to come up, so I use that bit of you know, space after the fight to actually, you know, generate more eyes, you know, do something that is current, do something that is relevant. You know what I mean? And obviously at the time, that's relevant. We had already thought and discussed if I, you know, if the fight goes according to plan, that I'll do that. And I think more people were annoyed that because of the injury afterwards. And I was like, well, I wouldn't have known how badly if I didn't know how badly the injury was. You know, I think, in all honesty, I think if I saw it, I think I'd be so distracted with, you know, him on the floor. It'd be different, but we can never say. But yeah, it's him saying that. Maybe annoyed and stuff, but he knew the fighter he was coming up against, and I'm a person that's done this before. It's not my first fight. He would have seen my fights prior, and he would have known, you know, the antics that go on around me, because that's in my personality. So him being annoyed at it now, I think it is a bit silly, but you know, it is what it is.
I did notice on your Twitter you shared his GoFundMe account. There was a GoFundMe account created for his injuries, obviously medical bills, medical expenses. Bellator are covering it, which I was actually going to do a video. I was quite pissed off. Why is Bellator not covering this? But they are. I want to ask you, as a fighter under Bellator, under contract with them, does this sort of put you at ease, make you a little bit more looser in terms of injuries, that they will cover any costs, any medical bills? Obviously, you are in the UK with NHS, etc. I'm not sure that will work with you. But is it reassuring for you knowing that you'll get top class treatment, top quality treatment in regards to injuries from Bellator?
Like, it's weird because I actually don't know where it came out from in the first place, and simply because you know, we sign contracts and stuff that state that they're going to they help with things like that anyway. So this is where I didn't understand why the initial thing came out. So what I was happy about to see from Bellator is that they paid him like he won. And that shows additional support. Now that's something that they don't have to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, the medical bills, I can understand anybody getting annoyed about if that wasn't the case. You know, if they wasn't going to pay for it, but they are. They've never ever once not helped anybody out that's been injured after a fight. You know, even Douglas Lima, another a character I can use, saying he got top treatment to get himself back into MMA full stop. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be able to fight again. So I already know that of Bellator, but to see that they paid in the extra money additional, you know, you've lost the fight and you've still been paid like you won. That's things like that just show just you know, general support for their fighters. And I think one thing I have to say about Bellator is they are about their fighters. They do look after them in more ways than one. And yeah, it's definitely good to see. But I always knew they would take care of medical bills. And they wouldn't just leave a fighter hanging like that. It's like I said, it's in the stuff that we sign with them. It's just that people, obviously, of the public, don't get to see that side of things. But yeah, I'm glad to be a part of a organization that does look after their fighters.
Okay, winding down the show now, just final 4 questions. I'll make them quick. These next 2 questions are going to be for the fans because I mentioned I'm on the underground, I'm on the forums, etc. And a lot of fighters, this is a question for them, the first one here. They sort of say that, Page, he's not had a real test in Bellator. It's all cans. When's his real test coming? Was Cyborg your breakout fight?
Well, I knew this was going to happen anyway. Again, because of how easy I can make things look. It's difficult. I'm just saying because of my style, it just makes it look a lot easier. If I was one of those type of fighters, let's say I had the exact same wins, but my face was a bit beat up because I'm a bit more of a scrapper, then not everyone would be fine. No one would say that he's not fighting and he's fighting cans because I'm getting beaten up a bit. I'm still rough and tumbling around, and what I mean. All the fights are close, but because of my style, it works against me in that sense that people are like, no, he's never been tested. Now, I don't really care about that anyway. But Cyborg, yeah, he was a bigger name, but I knew after I finished that fight, people would still say, no, he still needs, somebody else. That still wasn't good enough. Cyborg's all right, but he's older and this and that. And there's always an excuse as to why that I'm not doing good enough. So, yeah, those responses, they don't bother me.
Okay, second question for the fans. All I ever hear is he should sign with the UFC. When's MVP going to sign with the UFC? Bellator are doing great things for me. They've got a great roster, plenty of good names for you to fight there. Pay you decent, look after you, and I do believe it's on the rise. And with the UFC being bought out now, you don't know how the new owners are going to handle that situation there. They're going to handle the company. Bellator could overtake them. There is that potential there. I'm not sure who's got the most money between them all, but Viacom's that's a sturdy business partner to have behind you, or owner, should we say? So, answer the question for the fans there. Would you ever say that UFC is not your future? Isn't in your future? Would you ever sign for them?
You know what? I think you literally just answered the question. There's so many question marks over UFC at the moment as well as Bellator just constantly on the rise. They're constantly improving and doing better. And at the moment, I'm a face of a rising organization. I'm never going to be one of those people that are like, that I'll never do this and never do that, and then change my mind later on down the line. Anything can happen because it is business. It's like football players playing for one team and saying that they'll never leave their team, and then all of a sudden a load of money's thrown at them, and all of a sudden they're switching teams and up and leaving their house to go to another country. It just depends on what direction I'm moving and how successful I am, and just my general growth. UFC is an amazing organization as well, because they've been around so long, very popular. But like I said, I always say the same thing. At the moment, I'm so comfortable at Bellator. They're looking after me, and as you say, I'm progressing really well. And there are many fighters of high level to fight, as well as fighters potentially coming over as well, and already have come over. So yeah, I'm happy at Bellator, and that's at present is what I'm happy with continuing to do.
Okay, wrapping up the show. Is there any leaving comments for the viewers, your fans, or even Cyborg Santos?
You know what? I with regards to Cyborg, I kind of said everything. We've raised money as the Hands Down organization, or the team that I actually work under and work with. We've raised a load of money and sent it his way as well. I've handed out my gestures in terms of that. I do wish him well. And just wish him a speedy recovery. And I hope he is able to get back into it. I know it's a severe injury, but I hope, with Bellator's back in and the treatment that he should get, that he's able to, in time, get back into it and go back to what he loves. Just for the fans, just keep supporting, keep an eye out on my space. All the social media, Michael Page 247 or Michael Venom Page. Just have a check, follow my career, and as I always say, I'm an entertainer, and I believe I haven't let anybody down in terms of entertaining, fight. So just keep watching, keep supporting, and it's much appreciated.
Okay, then, Critters, fight fans, that's a wrap for today's show. I've really enjoyed today's show. Nice little treat for you guys. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out MakeUp.com. For today's show, as always, thank you for watching.